Hello everyone and welcome to Don't Be Bored. Today I'm joined by Tim Eisner, the designer of games such as Wonderland's War, Canopy, and now, live on Kickstarter, Canopy Evergreen. It's a standalone sequel, and well, who better to explain a little bit more? Welcome Tim, let us know a little bit about the new game.
Canopy Evergreen is a card drafting and set collection game for 2 to 4 players. It's set in the Pacific Northwest and features beautiful art from super talented Vincent Dutray. In the game, players are collecting plants, wildlife, weather, and trees to create a thriving ecosystem.
To get that thriving ecosystem, players are going to be set collecting just like in the original Canopy. What did you learn from the design process of the original game that you took forward into this one?
Great question. It was really cool being able to revisit the mechanics from the first Canopy and sort of update them and be able to tinker with them. The first Canopy I was really happy with, so I didn't want to reinvent the wheel and make up totally new mechanics. But, for example, all the plants in the Pacific Northwest are different from those in the Amazon rainforest, so I wanted to make them feel fresh and new. So they each got a new sort of set collection mechanic. But then some cards like the fire and disease, the threat cards, stayed the same because those were working really well and were kind of essential to how the draft works. And then some cards I did like a minor tweaking on. So the sun and rain, you're still trying to get sets of them to match to create a balanced weather, but there's an additional contest. Whoever has the most sets is going to get bonus points. And I wanted to make that change to make it a little more interactive, especially at higher player counts. So there's a contest at the end, and whoever has the most gets those bonus points. So that was what I did with the set collection.
What would you say has been the best and the worst parts of the design process?
The worst part was trying to figure out how much to add to the game. The design of the original Canopy was really solid, so I didn't want to tweak too much to make it and have it lose what made Canopy special. But I also wanted it to be distinct enough and be a game that would stand on its own. So I throughout the design, kept going back and forth on, is this good enough? Do we need this? Should I take this out? So that was just really added extra, stress to the design process. The best part of the design was that figuring out one thing led to finding several of the core mechanics. So the question was how to adapt the game to play with 1 to 4 players. And through that question, I had to change the deck, figure out a new way to track trees, and move the wildlife to their own deck, and that led to several of the core mechanics of the game. So I had to create the rainforest map and the 3D stackable trees, and that led to ecosystem tiles and ways to build your sets outside of the cards. And moving the wildlife to their own deck led me to create the food resource, which made cards and plants have more options of what they could do. So it was really neat to start with this one question and have that lead to several of the core mechanics that are now what makes the game unique.
Splitting that sort of deck apart into plants and animals is a really sort of cool, interesting sound twist. Let's zoom in on that animal deck, and for a bit of a fun one, what would you say is your favourite animal in Canopy Evergreen?
Wow, tough question. But I guess if I had to choose one, I'd probably say the fox, the red fox, because I've always been enchanted by fox, and they're so tricksy and mysterious. And I really think we represented that well in the game. The fox you can place on one of the piles, and it makes it so the other players can't look at that pile before choosing it. And so I think it just really is a fun mental game you get to play with players and embodies that foxy nature.
So while people won't be able to look under that pile, under the fox, where could people find out a little bit more about the game?
The best place to find out about the game is on Kickstarter. If you search for Canopy Evergreen Kickstarter, it will bring it right up. We've got tons of information and visuals on the page to tell you all about it. Best place to find out about what we're doing at Weird City Games is at our website, weirdcitygames.com, or we're also on Facebook and Instagram at Weird City Games. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim, for coming on today and talking a little bit not only about Canopy Evergreen, but also the design process behind it and how sort of from the original things have adapted. That was really interesting, and I will be putting a link to the Kickstarter and also the website that Tim mentioned in the description box below, so go and check those links out. And until next time, well, watch other stuff on the channel, but also have a evergreen good day.